So, Om Shanti. Welcome all of you to the values workshops. Today being on bliss. So, again, before we begin, we'll spend a minute in silence and invoke the presence of the Supreme Being. Bliss, such a beautiful virtue, the original virtue of the soul, which can only be achieved by experiencing in silence and in meditation. So from today's workshop, let's try to dive into this experience of bliss and try to learn from what the speakers talk over here, from their long experience years of meditation, that how we can be naturally blissful in our behaviors, in our actions, at home or at workplace. So welcome all of you, and as you all can see on the screen, it's International Day of Friendship today as well. Though it's being celebrated in the West on this last Saturday, but a few countries on the eastern side like India, Bangladesh and Malaysia celebrate it on the first Sunday of August. So that's coming weekend of 7th August. Well, so today on this auspicious day, let's not try to have other values like peace. Obviously we need to have them, but try to have blissful friendships. Something new which you have heard of, me too as well. And let's try to explore this on this day of International Day of Friendship. And let me just go further. As you can see, we have been covering this since almost 1.5 years. And today is a good number, 44, double fours. So I would also welcome the facilitators who are there with us, Sister Anu joining from Canada and Sister Pooja joining from India. And nevertheless, all our very tireless translators or interpreters, a big immense thanks to all of you for joining and making this workshop as well a truly international one where people can enjoy in their own language, listening to them. So today in the icebreaker, let's experience this bliss. Rather than showing you all a video, I'll just give you a few thoughts, and I would request you all to experience those thoughts, and then we'll take a quick sharing from you on what is the meaning of bliss for you all in one word. So let's sit back, relax your body, take a few deep breaths in and out, and see yourself as this beautiful, conscient being of light or energy that you are. And as you breathe in and out, you experience the true bliss of your being. Anand we call in Hindi. I, the being, the blissful being, away from the world chaos, and have this natural calmness within me. And now let's take a step forward and visualize the Supreme Being as the ocean of bliss, and rays of bliss emerging from the Supreme Being and reaching to me, safeguarding me from the outside worldly vibration, and I experience this canopy of protection, the canopy of bliss on my head, and under this canopy I experience the blissful rays. It's indeed a beautiful feeling to be under the Supreme's blissful canopy. And let's stop here. So let's remain in this feeling, and I would request you all not to be in the vocal mode, but just type one or two words which are related to the feeling which you felt right now, which is related to bliss. So if you can do that in the chat box. We purposely don't want to ask you all to come in the vocal mode. Okay, so there are many chat box sharings. I also don't want to speak, but I have to speak as a facilitator. So it's relaxed, calm and cool, worry free. Just being present, that's what we call mindfulness. Light, loved, beautiful. Liberation, happy. Benevolence, I can understand that word. Protected, probably in English. The next word, balanced and peaceful. Yeah, so all of you, all these are values which you have written, and they're all very closely related to the value of bliss. We'll be exploring today more in depth. So with this, I would now, the last sharing is close to joy, over-sensuous joy or supra-sensuous joy. And being in the blissful stage, you can experience the 8 powers. Right, so thank you all of you all for your sharings, and I would request Sister Anu to move on to the first exercise. Over to you, Sister Anu. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj brother. So that was very beautiful. It seems we have touched upon the experience of bliss, and we could connect beautifully. So, let me share. We'll move on to the next exercise, as we have been talking about just a bit as we have started. What is the experience? Now let's look at, in our own life in the past where we have experienced it, and we will try to figure out what are the values or qualities that came along with it that we used to experience that bliss. So this exercise is the factors or prerequisites of bliss. So we just felt with the beautiful meditation that Brother Manoj did, how does it feel to be blissful? But what are the factors that contribute to be blissful? We all have experienced it. So let's now take a moment, 1 minute, to reflect on an instance from the past where despite the situation outside being chaotic, it was disturbing situation where you could maintain your inner tranquil and experience bliss. So I'm sure we all have that when it is a difficult situation somewhere, how we manage it and how we keep our calm, how we actually not only keep our calm, we see it flowing easily, or we navigate through it easily. So you could maintain your inner tranquil in a difficult or chaotic situation. Reflect on that and check what are the factors contributed towards that blissful state of mind. So we'll take your sharings after 1 minute of reflection. Let's take 1 minute to reflect on this. So I hope you could touch upon a situation where you could, I would say, maybe at least stayed calm and were able to go through the situation or handle or did what was needed. But also we can go to that deeper sense of bliss or so I'm sure you all have something to share. We will request all of you to unmute and share with us. Anyone? Could I ask Dr. Mehta maybe to say something if you have something to share?
One has to remain detached from the circumstances which are difficult to handle and in remembrance.
So that is the factor or attribute, being detached from the situation, seeing that as a play or drama, but in remembrance of the real self and the divine, right? Thank you, Dr. Mehta. That's the essence, how we can experience the bliss. Thank you so much. Anyone else who would like to share? Yes, okay, hold on. Maybe you all cannot unmute yourself. Now you can. Yes. Okay.
Om Shanti.
Thank you. Go ahead.
All my dear brothers and sisters, please accept my greetings of love, peace, happiness, and blissful stage. Any situation, you have to be a witnessing mode. You are witnessing a drama. And with a Atmic Smriti, that I am a peaceful soul, and so the others are. As the Smriti, so is the Sthiti, so is your form. As is your form, so is your Swarup. So you have to remember always the God's is with us, God's power with us, and drama is Kalyankari. You will be able to remain silent, maintain purity, maintain love, maintain peace, and bliss will come. Om Shanti.
Thank you, brother. So again, the key is remaining detached and remaining in that awareness of who we are. Also, I see a lot of sharing in the chat. Again, somebody says silence, purity. That is the way to reach to that maybe detached state and, the awareness of the self. Again, Dr. Mehta says detachment, Sister Pooja says, being calm helped me to think with clarity during a challenging situation. Staying calm will enable us to think clearly. Soul consciousness, sincerity, consciousness, and incorporeal. So I'm just reading, trying to faith in God, knowledge in Gyan, and yoga in with God. So faith in God, knowledge in Gyan means knowing the knowledge, spiritual knowledge, the true knowledge, and yoga or connection with God. Sister Carmen says that. There are some other language sharing. Somebody says love and spirit. This is again, we are talking about the qualities, attributes that enable you to feel blissful or calm in a difficult situation. Okay, so anyone who would like to unmute and share, please. Balvinder says, I'm sorry, I never experienced inner bliss in chaotic situation. I always get controlled by external situation. And so I will only share negative, she says. So she's not wanting to share. And that is such a genuine, sharing actually. In the chaotic situation, can you experience bliss? So I think Balvinder, thank you for, voicing it out. I think who are regular meditators may have a different answer, but she is saying it clearly. Okay, so no negative. If you still want to share anything positive that you are catching at this moment, you can share. How can you experience bliss during a chaotic situation? And however, who has a positive experience that they like to share? We don't like to call upon names, but can we? Anyone, a volunteer? What were the qualities or how did you do it? What is that you did to experience bliss or calm during a chaotic situation? I hope you all reflected. If we reflect in our life, we see a lot of situations, right? How did you pass through it? How did you manage to stay calm? Maybe a bit difficult for all? Anyone? Yes. Rena? Okay, you can share. Thank you.
Actually, it's not very easy to, experience bliss and all in a chaotic stage, but yeah, calmness is okay. So the only thing you have to do is not respond if the situation is too negative. And many times I have seen that people deliberately try to, get the words out of you. I mean, to test you, how much resilience power you have. In such a situation, it is better not to give any response if that response is not better than your silence. The silence is the best answer in many cases.
Beautiful. Yeah. Silence, not respond. Don't take the provoke or whatever that effect that's coming from the other people. And I think that is the way to go to that inner calm. And more than calm is the bliss. You said it right. Maybe calm is possible, but bliss maybe a little more work, effort. Yes. Ridan, you can please unmute and share.
Yeah. Shanti sister. In a chaotic situation, I tend to remind myself that this is most importantly just a situation. This will pass. So having a reaction, detaching myself, it reminds me that this will pass. So I can hold myself and this will pass sooner or later. That.
Thank you. Powerful. Like a mantra, we can remember this will pass too. Thank you so much. Yes, Amarjit, you would like to share? We can't hear you yet. You are unmuted. Are you speaking? We can't hear you, sister. Okay, anyone else? There are some sharings in the chat. Faith in the self, in Baba or God, divine, and in the drama, whatever life is playing out in the life. So having faith will help to get to the bliss, connect with God. And again, silence. Silence injures you internally. Okay, so that's a completely different subject. How the silence, truly the silence, with the real self-awareness about who I am, who they are, how to keep it separate. I think silence needs a bit more inner understanding. So that's why Balvinder is saying, but silence may be hard if you are just tolerating it inside. But that's where we connect with the self, knowing the self and connecting with God in the silence will help. So somebody's saying again, try to be an observer. I think that's what is we are getting, the cast observer, or not responding, just staying a bit a backseat and watching it as if a movie is playing out. Be in soul consciousness. And Jujir Singh says, maybe think of the opposite quality that is causing the chaos, or also think or activate any quality strongly as so that everything else fades away. That's really beautiful sharing. So what is, when it is a chaotic situation, negative energies around, what is the opposite of it? What are the values or the powers or a positive thought we can use that can take us to the calm or bliss? Okay, Rocio from Portugal says she, the other as a lover, the very important view. I mean, with love, see everybody. So somebody says, so that's Balvinder's story. It may not be possible, but I think many of us will have to say yes. Any other sharing? Amarjit, I don't know if you can speak and we can hear. So it's not...
And bliss is a situation of mind. It cannot be explained to others.
Right. Okay. Bliss is a experience of the mind that cannot be
इसको बोलते हैं
explained.
आनंद को घूंगे की मिठाई, वो खा तो लेता है पर किसी को बता नहीं सकता कि इसका स्वाद क्या है, उसको अच्छा लगता.
That's so nice. It's like a who is a mute. Mute is going to my mind. Okay, who cannot speak? What is it called, Manoj Bhai? When that person eats the sweet, he cannot explain how it tastes. Yeah. Dumb. So somebody who cannot speak. That's beautiful. Bliss is an experience. But how do we reach there? This is the whole outcome of this exercise, that reflect and see in life when difficult situation comes. What is that we do? And how we can feel that inner calm, satisfaction, or more than that, the bliss. I'm repeating it by connecting with the Supreme. Anyone else? Sonika in the chat says, not easy, yes, but if no hope is there, otherwise, better to stick to the optimistic side and have faith in Almighty. Thank you, Sonika. Okay. Anyone else? Just last sharing. Anyone inspired to unmute and speak their story? Okay, Sarita from UK says, remember, it's drama and breathe to let it pass. Think, let it pass. This is going to pass. Okay, what is that we got? Brother Deepak, he has been writing all your sharings. Detachment from situation. Being calm, help to think with clarity during a challenging situation. Soul consciousness, that is knowing the true self and connecting or staying in that sense that all that is playing outside is a play or drama. Let it pass, let the moment move. sincerity, incorporeal sincerity. I think the brother said sincerity in being detached or being an observer. Feel contented and blessed, faith in God, knowledge, and yoga with God. As your awareness, so is your state of mind. Always remember God is with you and maintain purity and silence. Love and spirit. Bliss is experience of mind that cannot be explained. Furthermore, in a moment of external turmoil, sought to be immersed in silence, know that nothing is new. Faith in the self, in God, in drama. Remember it's drama and breathe to let it pass. Bliss makes us experience how special and unique we are. Connect with God, stick to the optimistic side. Being calm in any situation, and tap onto that silence, do not respond to maintain calm. So be an observer. This situation will pass, remember that. And maybe remember think of the opposite quality and bring that into your mind, in your memory, and see others with love. Thank you so much. Beautiful sharings by all. Let's move on further to strengthen this bliss in us. And for that, I'll hand it over to Sister Pooja.
Thank you, Sister Anu, and what lovely sharings. Thank you all for your deep and some very honest sharings. Let's hope that by the end of this workshop and after the talk that we are going to have next, we all can experience deeper bliss. Like some people were saying, it may not be possible in a challenging situation, but as Dr. Mehta said, maybe the practice of detachment and being in silence are the first few steps that help us to take to that stage of bliss, even when the situation is challenging. After experiencing bliss so beautifully with Manoj Bhai and reflecting on these prerequisites of bliss, let's now think about maybe plan for the next week. So next week at work, let me just share my screen. Let's see how we can make small changes in the office that will help us to have a blissful day at work. So look at your workplace for the next week and think about what changes you can incorporate in your daily routine to enjoy your day and also make it memorable and a blissful experience. So you have about 2 minutes for this, and then we'll go into the sharing mode. I can already see some people sharing. That's wonderful. So maybe we could make some physical changes at the workplace, like the wonderful vase with the flowers that we saw. Maybe listen to some soft music, or maybe we could change our approach at work. towards situations or towards people. So yes, we are already receiving some sharings. Harsha from Goa says, to accommodate and accept others and to be loveful. Sushila says, no judgment, just accept the others as they are. We could also have some people unmuting and speaking. You could probably raise your hand, the virtual hand, and we will unmute you to let you speak. Feelings of respect and genuine smiles to others. Aroma of a cup of tea or coffee in my office. So that's lovely, isn't it, Anu sister? Dr. Ashok Mehta says, play soft music, have fragrant flowers on the table, and an ambient temperature of the ambient temperature in the office. Imagine to be in Madhuban the more possible during the day. This is Nicole. So that is more like you just visualize that you are in your own healing space. If not Madhuban, Madhuban is Mount Abu, for those of you who don't know. Just imagine you're in a healing space, and that can also help you. There is something in a different language, if somebody could translate. Be aware that we are one family and everything is all right. Sarabjeet would like to share. Can you unmute, Sarabjeet? I'm trying to. Yes, you can unmute now, Sarabjeet. What would you like to share, Sarabjeet? We can't hear you, so I'll just continue reading from the chat box. Be aware that we are one family and everything is all right. That is translated from Portuguese. Get up early for Amrit Vela. That is, Amrit Vela is again early morning meditation to remember the Supreme. So a lot of people wake up at 4 o'clock and meditate. That is what somebody has suggested. Being a principal, Sonika Dogra says, I will try to make my students feel happy and enjoy their stay in school and try to increase the number every next day. I hear the sound of whales in the ocean. That's a translation from Portuguese. And Vijay Bhai, would you like to speak?
Yes, sister. Om Shanti.
Shanti.
To remain in a stage of blissful office or in house or in social gatherings, our morning first thought should be Sukh dena hai, Sukh lena hai. We are the children of ocean of happiness, ocean of bliss. Remember, we are the children of that God who is the ocean of happiness and bliss. And I have also to make present God in me. So I have to be blissful, giving happiness to everybody. So the slogan, which was recent slogan, was there, Sresht Smriti Dwara Sukhmai Sthiti mein rehne wale Sukh Swarup Bhav. Means your memory, your smriti should be that I am a blissful soul, I am a happy soul. And then my state should be Sukhmai. I have to give love and blessings and happiness to everybody. So from your face, that blessings will come. But foundation should be from Amrit Vela. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Vijay Bhai, for always reminding us. So Vijay Bhai, the essence was that wake up early in the morning, remember the Supreme, give good wishes to people and take good wishes from people. Then there are more sharings. If anybody would like to speak, you may please raise your virtual hands. Consider everyone a soul and practice humility. That from Portuguese translator, we have Susanna has said, be immersed in the love of the Supreme and experience the silence of the spiritual world. So silence and detachment are coming up again and again in every exercise. I think we must try and implement that maybe in the next week to see if we can experience bliss. Shower with Amrit Vela, that's again morning meditation, and where elevated thoughts, that's Harvinder. Sarita from UK says, remember early morning meditation stage throughout the day. So when you meditate in the morning, it is not just the morning time that you're meditating, but try to remain in that stage throughout the day. That is what she means. Yes, Sister Balvinder, would you like to speak? You've unmuted yourself.
Oh, yes, Om Shanti, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I did my planning, not thinking about workplace, but in my family, because beautiful wedding is coming up next week. So what I will do, I have prepared myself. You know, we usually wear very colorful, impressive clothes to impress other people. But this time I changed my plan. What I'm going to do, I will wear very impressive thought of love, peace, purity, joy, and gratitude. I will bring a beautiful smile on my face. I will approach to those people who do not like me. I will greet them with a beautiful smile. Or if I have passed boundaries with them, I will approach intentionally. And I will repeat my affirmation, seeing myself, who am I, why am I here, as well as I will see same in other beings, in other family, friends, everyone. So, in nutshell, I will beautify myself internally with beautiful thoughts and externally with beautiful lenga, and I will enjoy blissful week. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Balvinder sister. Wearing beautiful clothes is one thing, but wearing a beautiful smile with beautiful thoughts takes it to another level. Anyone else would like to speak? Otherwise, Deepak brother, if you can just share the screen of what you may have mentioned. Yes, we had quite a few sharings. So accommodate and accept others, being loveful, no judgment, just accept the way the others are. Playing soft music. So there were a few things that people would do to change their approach next week. And a few people also mentioned the physical changes that they would make, like Sister Anu, I think, mentioned about the aroma of coffee and tea in office. Dr. Mehta mentioned about playing soft music, have fragrant flowers on the table, and then also you could visualize that you are in a healing space. Um, Somebody who is a principal also spoke about how she would make her students happy and enjoy their stay. Be aware that we are all one family. Is there another slide as well, Deepak? Yes, get up early. Yes, this came up quite a few times as well. To get up early in the morning and remember the Supreme. And not only in the morning, but also try to be in that remembrance throughout the day while you're working and doing your chores. Thoughts from early morning Amrit Vela, to give and receive happiness and bliss, to give and receive good thoughts. Consider everybody a soul, practice humility, and so many more. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Deepak Bhai, for taking those down. And with that, maybe we can move on and have a look at the summary from last week's talk, Manoj Bhai.
Yes, thank you all for your blissful sharings, I must say. And you know, I was just testing my patience and my bliss because I have just been coming in and out of the Zoom. For some reason, Zoom is taking me out again and again. And then my PC is really behaving very funny today. And then I have to log in from the mobile. and just be ready for it. Again, I may just knock off suddenly, but I'll be there back in a couple of minutes, not a couple of minutes, just half a minute from the mobile if anything goes wrong. So I was just trying to say, Manoj, you're doing a workshop on bliss. You might as well just be peaceful and stable inside. That's what I felt, that bliss is very infectious. And the best example which we have here is Sister Balvinder. She was not able to have any such thoughts, but all of us sort of, I must say, pushed her to creating blissful thoughts. And there you are, such beautiful sharings, that going to a wedding and making yourself so stable from inside that your dress doesn't matter. As Sister Pooja was sharing, your thoughts matter. How am I going to behave with people there? And blissfulness, I know it's a very difficult value to be always blissful, but it closely goes hand in hand with peace. We'll see sometimes peace. We'll be covering that in October, I think, soon, on the International Day of Peace. Let it remain a surprise for all of you. And so if my mind is stable, then I can practice silence, be peaceful and blissful as well. Blissful actually is a very, I must say, the hi-fi state. It's not so easy to remain in bliss, but all of your sharings have will force us to at least think that can we practice that. So in the meantime, as I share, I would also request all of you all, the ones who have joined new, to please, if you all want to be a part of these workshops in future as well, and also the Values for Life series talks which happen every fortnightly, kindly share your emails and WhatsApp numbers so that you are on our mailing list. We'll be emailing you all the content of this, what are we discussing so far, and also on your WhatsApp numbers we can send you the invitations as well. So you can do this either to everyone in the chat box or to Vidhi's sister and Anu sister specifically. I'll repeat, Sister Vidhi and Sister Anu, if you can send it to both of them. Okay, coming to the very blissful teacher of ours, I would say Asha Didi, because I mean my interaction with her has always been very blissful, and I feel she's an epitome of bliss. She radiates that bliss. The way she speaks also is like so stable and calm, and I'm sure the translators enjoy that very well, because she's not fast at all. And I really am striving very hard to do that. I have mellowed down quite a bit, but again, if your state of mind is blissful, the speed of your thoughts is fine, and your speed of your voice also will come down. So we are all practicing that, easy for the translators. So what did Asha Didi say? It's all about soul consciousness. Actually, you all have spoken a lot about that. So Didi said it's not a value, it's an experience. So let's not talk about it so much, but try to experience. And that's what, therefore, today in the icebreaker, we tried to give you that feeling first, that experience the bliss, and then come up with your sharings. So when the soul is in the true self, the true nature, that is what is we call soul consciousness, it is true bliss. And let me tell you here one more thing which she mentioned, that blissfulness is a what you call a terminal stage. Terminal actually comes in relation to patience, but it is a very elevated stage. There is no opposite word for bliss. Like for happiness there is sadness, for peace there is chaos, for chaos there is calm. So similarly, bliss doesn't have an opposite word. It is a very high level feeling. And again in our actions as well, action planning which you all did, we said that when we interact with each other in a soul conscious state, we can really experience this very easily. And I'll just quickly just show you all these. So it's easier said than done. We have to keep practicing it, because just doing a workshop will not help me to become blissful, but at least the workshop will open my arena and will let me know that yes, people are doing it, I can also do it. And practice will make us perfect in experiencing bliss. Didi mentioned about ruhaniyat, which is a beautiful Urdu word, ruha and niyat. Niyat actually means my attitude. What is there inside me? What am I feeling about other people? That is called in Hindi or Urdu niyat. So if I have this soul niyat, which is the consciousness of being a soul all the time, it will be easy. And here we need to find out some time about being introverted. I think if there is a lot of disturbance, I'll just pause for a few seconds. I'll just shut down everything. Sorry for that. So as you all can see that introversion, again another beautiful value we had covered almost 1.5 years ago, whereby really moving out from the external world and seeing myself from this inner eye and looking at myself inside. And then I can really experience this double light stage which Didi mentioned about. And when we say double light, it's lightness about first the feeling that I feel very light, free of burdens, as quite a few of you were mentioning in the sharings. And the second light is the light which we feel, the light of the soul. So that's what double light means. I'll come to balance in a short while, but in our spiritual teachings at the Brahma Kumaris, we are taught these 3 words starting with B. The first one, as we know, is bliss. So if we want to experience bliss, we need to have a balance. And what sort of balance? I'll cover that soon. And if we are able to maintain a balance in life of many things, then I think I must give you an example, balance of spiritual life versus your professional life, because sometimes we tend to overdo and the balance tilts off in the either direction. So if you are able to maintain a balance, I just give you a simple example of one of that, then we'll be able to earn blessings from people. And that's what Didi also mentioned. So if I earn blessings, then my life really becomes easy, and then bliss also becomes quite a natural part of my life. And that's the reason it's said that blessings make us blissful. And therefore this word also comes in the path of devotion, that please count on your blessings. Duaएं in Urdu we call. Dadi Janki, it reminds me here, she used to say that it is because of blessings of so many souls, the good wishes and vibrations coming from so many souls in the world, she's able to live to the age of 104. She used to always say that. Yes, all of you have mentioned quite a few. We said we have done in the first exercise prerequisites, factors which help us in maintaining the blissful state. Starts from the early morning meditation, which all of us in our spiritual practice try to do. Wake up at 4 a.m., be very fresh, and try to experience that connection with the Supreme. Have elevated thoughts, which we call Sresht Sankalp in Hindi. Again, it's all a game of thoughts. Whatever I feel, whatever I do in my entire day is whatever I'm thinking inside. So if my thoughts I can change, which spirituality and meditation can help you in. If my thoughts change, nothing like it. Bliss is something very easy for me then. And if I want to deepen the experience, as Pooja sister was saying, I have to deepen my relationship with the Supreme, whereby I should consider that Supreme Being is not only what we call the Guru, but He's also my teacher, teaching me daily lessons. He's also my father, and as a father protects the child all the time. He's there for me all the time. Other relationships, He's my mother, He's my friend, I can share everything with Him. He's also my child. I mean, I can take care of him as I take care of my other child or other children at home. So if I can develop these relationships at every step in life, then Didi said attaining bliss would be very easy. And all this, the baseline is pure love, the love which is absolutely selfless, and love emanating from the purity of the soul. That's what Didi said. But mind well, she said a few things about, I think she said 3, I've added one more, which because I like this. She said that what can block your feeling of bliss, which you can't attain then. First is excuses. Excuses for everything in life. First excuse is I can't wake up early in the morning because I have slept late, etc., etc. Many other excuses which people give. I've written down in Hindi the ones in brackets. Second is laziness. Being lazy at whatever levels we are lazy. Carelessness, like time is just going off and I don't really know that my time is going, in the sense my thoughts are so fast, stressful, negative, waste, I'm not even aware of them. That's being careless. And another big vice coming in is jealousy. Being jealous about other people will never help me to attain bliss, because it will always make me feel stressed inside. The path to bliss again is meditation. Let me tell you, Vijay Bhai and many others have shared about this super sensuous joy which we feel. We had covered joy with, again, I remember very distinctly, with Sister Maureen 6-7 months ago. So it's the ecstasy, another beautiful English word, which is very close to the word bliss. And for this, I need to realize this Sat Chit Anand, Didi said. Sat is true, Chit is my consciousness, and Anand is the Hindi word for bliss. So if I am able to situate myself in my true consciousness, I can experience bliss. And for this, Didi mentioned two powers are needed: ruling power and controlling power. Ruling over whom? Over myself. And controlling is controlling over my five sense organs. Like in this day and age of computers and smartphones, what am I entire day doing? My eyes are looking at what on the phones? What am I listening to daily? What am I thinking? What am I reading through the eyes? What am I speaking? Are they all in a controlled mode? And if I can control all of them and have a ruling power as well, then I can experience bliss. So this was Asha Didi's quote, that keep yourself worry free if you want to have an experience of bliss. Okay, I'll take a few questions. I have 6-7 more minutes. So a beautiful saying is, ignorance is bliss. So I asked Didi, is it really true? So Didi said, I am here speaking about bliss as a spiritual stage. But the context which you are asking is about that not knowing about something which is harmful or negative. So it is good to be not knowing about something which is going to damage my thought process. That ignorance is then bliss. But this doesn't apply to the ignorance that about not knowing about my own identity, that I am the spirit, I am the beautiful soul. For that, this doesn't apply. So I hope it's clear. Then Didi mentioned somewhere in the talk about experiencing the karmatit stage. It is a very powerful stage and a elevated stage, I must say. But if you could just try to understand what Didi said, that it's a stage where whatever actions you do, you are not influenced by what is the result of the action. That is atit. You go beyond your karma. The effects of the karma, the actions, the results which are coming of the action, you go beyond that, and you're not result oriented at all, because you know that you are a divine instrument of the Almighty and He's just using you. So this also helps you to remain bondage free. No accounts are created. And Didi used these three words, which we can go in the depth sometime later: viceless, egoless, and incorporeal. Which means, again, a stage where you're completely out of vices, absolute humility, no trace of ego at all. And both of these can be attained through the incorporeal stage, that is the soul conscious stage, free from body consciousness. Then I asked Didi, someone had asked that Didi really serves the VIPs a lot, being the administrative head of the, being the head of the administrative wing, of our Brahma Kumaris, Rajoga Education and Research Foundation. So she interacts a lot with the VIPs, and of late with our very recently elected President of India, respected Draupadi Murmu. So how can Didi maintain an egoless stage? Because she mentioned that in the previous question. So Didi said it's not a big deal because I never feel I am doing anything, and we are godly servants. We are representing the organization of Brahma Kumaris, and the attitude matters. As all of you know, attitude of gratitude. So here also, attitude again is the word of as niyat, as I told you in Urdu, ruhaniyat. So if I have an attitude of serving all the time, ego will never come in. Then there's another quote which was like, follow your bliss and let the magic of life happen. So Didi said she doesn't know anything about what is following, but bliss is something which is a state which you have to achieve by practice. And in spiritual words here we call effort making. In Hindi we call it purusharth. So we have to really strive to develop this stage. It's nothing to follow about. That's what she said. A Buddhist saying, the Buddhist saying is, to seek is to suffer, and to seek nothing is bliss, which means being fully desireless. And all of you know this very well. It's a Sanskrit word, Ichha Matram Avidya, which means ignorance of desires. So that ignorance is good in one way. I really don't know what is a desire because I don't have one. That's what she said. And what does one experience in meditation? I mean, these are very overlapping states. Is it peace or is it bliss? Didi said, undoubtedly it's bliss. And obviously, it's a deep stage of meditation, not the superficial ones. Not like when we are slumbering, when we are sleeping, even that could be very blissful. But this is jokes apart. Bliss is like a feeling in the deep state of meditation because it is that unique connection with the ocean of bliss. And as I said, don't worry if you're not able to experience bliss, peace also is the starting stage. Let's start with that and feel peaceful at least. And I think this was the last one which I was wanting to cover, that what sort of balance is needed in life. We covered these 3 B's. Having balance, which will help us in earning blessings, and our stage will become blissful. So she mentioned quite a few. So balance of being loveful and lawful towards someone. At the same time, having the balance of being a child and a master, whereby if you are in a meeting, this I find it very applicable in my daily meetings if I have, that if someone is asking me for a suggestion, I must be the master and give them suggestion. But at the end, when the consensus comes and I see that my suggestion hasn't been validated or hasn't been taken, I can be a child and accept totally fine. It's fine if you are not accepting, but I'm accepting that as well. I don't feel fret. I mean, I don't feel disturbed. Oh, they didn't listen to me. They just call me because I'm going away from bliss then. So a beautiful balance of being a child and master. Another one of humility but authoritative as well. Humble while interacting with people, but when you want to tell them something, you want to give them knowledge, supreme knowledge of God and about the self, be authoritative, don't be timid that time. So many sorts of balances. One more balance which reminds me here is about balance of being introverted, reserved in nature, but at the same time also entertaining. Like, don't be so introverted that people feel, oh, we can't approach you, but at the same time also be entertaining and approachable when you are in company of people. So something like that. Yeah, so I think my time is getting up now, and let me just stop here. And we have, I'm sure Sister Maureen is already with us. Anu sister, if you can spotlight her, that will be great. And all of you know Sister Maureen very well. We know her very well from our Vihasa side. Sister Maureen has been practicing Rajयोग for 40 years. Sorry, I'm sure she's around, right?
I don't see her.
Okay,
No.
because she said she'll join 15 minutes prior. Okay, so fine. So we'll just introduce her. She should be on her way. Okay, so so let me introduce. I can give a sort of vast introduction since I have all the time here now. She's not here around. So she's the program director for the Brahma Kumaris UK,
This year.
and she's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can just spotlight her as well, it will be good. Yeah, let me just. Yes, okay, here you are. Thank you so much, Sister Maureen. Dot on time. And I'll just give a brief introduction in a few minutes and then I'll give it to you. So, Sister Maureen has been also a representative of the BKs at the United Nations in Vienna. And in 2000, she also was the worldwide coordinator of many projects for the United Nations International Year for the Culture of Peace. That was the year it was celebrated for peace through the UN. She has actually held or been involved in many interreligious dialogues nationally and internationally, and also she has served on the committees which include the World Congress of Faiths. And I think another very important role she plays is she has offered lot of value-based workshops, which is very dear to all our hearts here, all our facilitators, from prisoners. And she's conducted lot of such seminars called Spirituality in Prison with the prison staff. And the big Vihasa book which we have, the Bible, which was brainstormed for 4 years, she was also one of the author in that. That's what I really feel very close about when I think about Sister Maureen. And I'll start with a few lines on her, as always, a small poem. So we have with us from UK, Sister Maureen Goodman, of whom we all from the Vihasa team are a big fan. In more than 40 years of her life journey, if we span, she's got this unique opportunity to be able to scan. She can scan you. Get ready. And get souls out of the internal heat with a spiritual fan. Otherwise, they have just behind materialism ran and ran. But finally now realize that with meditation, we will and we can. What we can? We can definitely experience the bliss from today's talk and workshop. And the meditation, sorry. And a few lines on bliss, that through her sharings on bliss today, she will make it very clear that how in our materialistic lives we need to be away from fear. You know, there's a lot of things happening in I don't need to tell you, in the world economy. So be away from fear. Let's establish a connection with the Supreme, who is indeed so near. He is waiting for us always and tells us, my child, you are so dear. Remember me always, so that in life you always can then cheer. So let's cheer up and give her a grand welcome again. And thank you so much once again, Sister Maureen, for joining, taking out this time. And over to you. I would just stop sharing. Yeah, what happened?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I couldn't see Sister was there from
No, she's there.
before.
She's there.
And
Okay.
now I made you co-host. You can unmute. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for your poetry, Manoj Bhai. And I better reassure you that I don't scan people. So don't be worried about that. But it's very kind of you to invite me again to talk about this topic of bliss, which is not a topic that people talk about a lot, because it's an experience that people feel is a little bit beyond their capacity, something perhaps for mystics or for sages, etc. But it is possible for every human being to experience bliss. But I did want to show a little video, but now if I did a talk on joy before, did I show a video before? Did I show this?
Honestly, you showed, but I think it's good to repeat.
I did show it. No, then I won't repeat it. It's okay. Then it wouldn't be the right thing to repeat it, because I'd forgotten. And then when you mentioned joy, that I'd done a talk on joy, I thought I probably showed that video. But I think the main thing that I wanted to convey is that when we think about bliss, when we think about happiness, and sometimes we put the two together, but in fact, the two are separate, not separate. The two are a little bit of a different experience, and there are different factors that go behind each of those experiences. And when we think about happiness, and I think about in my own life, things that make me happy, and I recently went on an outing a couple of days ago because it was somebody's special birthday, and I enjoyed the outing tremendously from the morning till the evening, and I had a lot of happiness, and that's fine. And happiness comes from our interaction with others, with human beings, with animals, with nature. We can gain a lot of happiness. When someone shows kindness towards us, we feel happy. When we show kindness towards others, we also feel happy. So when we have virtuous behavior, good behavior, then there's a lot of happiness inside. And that's a very beautiful thing. And so, yes, happiness is all around us if we act in a certain way, live in a certain way, as has been described, some of those things in the talk you just mentioned. But it is a fact that happiness is through our interaction with human beings and with nature and with the elements as well, and animals, etc. And so happiness is related to some extent to the external world, the world around us. And happiness, therefore, is to some extent dependent upon what's happening around us. And so, yes, if people are good to me and people are loving towards me, of course, it's very easy to feel happy. But then when somebody changes their mood or begins to behave differently with me, maybe is jealous of me, maybe gets angry with me, whatever it is, then it's easy for my happiness to move away. And so, yes, happiness, a great thing. And if I live and conduct my life in a certain way, I will have a life of happiness. But bliss is a completely different and more full and more powerful experience. And the experience of bliss truly can only come from God. And so if I'm thinking about bliss, or I want to experience bliss, then I have to be able to connect with God, with the divine, in order to have that true experience of bliss. Human beings can't give me bliss, but God can give me bliss. And when we think of bliss, Anand, or the other word, Atindriya Sukh, the happiness that is beyond the senses. Now, this indicates that I have to be in a stage, in a consciousness that is beyond the ordinary consciousness with which I interact through my eyes, through my ears, through my mouth, etc. And we're interacting together, talking to each other now, we're hearing, we're listening. But if I'm to experience bliss, then I need to take a step beyond that. And so what do I have to do? Introversion was mentioned. I have to come into that state where I'm internal and I'm experiencing the inner being of the self. I'm experiencing myself as a spiritual being. And so I begin to see the separation, if you like, between the soul, the being, which is non-material, which is a spiritual light, made up of spiritual light energy, and the body, my vehicle. And my vehicle is very precious, but the vehicle is made of matter. And when we pass on, in the Brahma Kumaris, we would use the phrase, when we leave the body, or a person leaves the body. Now that tells you a lot, doesn't it? The soul, the personality, the being, leaves the body behind. When you pass on and you go to the next stage of your journey, whatever you may believe that to be, you can't take the body with you. It's no longer, it's lifeless, it's no longer of use. And so the body is left behind. And twice I've had that privilege of actually being present when the soul has departed. The second time it happened just very quickly, and we were there around the person, and we were hardly, the moment we were hardly paying attention, the soul slipped away. But the first time, I watched it very closely, and I saw the breath literally become quiet, and I saw the soul leave. I didn't see in a physical, see a vision or anything, but I saw what happened to the body as the life force left. And seeing what the body you know, the person's no longer there. Of course, there's a very, very intimate connection between the soul and the body. If the soul is not in the body can't function. The energy of the soul gives the body, it makes the organs function, everything. The body has its own intelligence too. Body is an amazing thing. But the power for that comes from the soul, the being. And we all know that, you know, if I'm in a certain state of mind, it can affect the state of my body. And if I'm in pain, it will affect the soul. And so the two so closely connected. And I remember hearing one passage from the founder, Brahma Baba. It was a recording, and he was in a way having a chit chat, a little bit of a tease, I suppose. But he used to have a cough, and when he was giving the teachings, every so often the cough would interrupt him. And so this time, excuse me, he stopped and he said, "Who's coughing? Is the body coughing or is the soul coughing?" And then there was this whole discussion. And then finally he said, "Both are coughing." So the two together, very, very important. But then if I want to come into that stage of bliss, I have to be in that deep awareness of being a soul, of being in my original state of being in my original identity. Yes, when I'm in a body, many identities. I can be a teacher, I can be a sister or a brother, depending on the gender. I can be, you know, a wife, a mother, a doctor, a lawyer, a housewife, anything, window cleaner, whatever. I can have many roles. I can play many roles through the body. But when I become introverted and I go into that state of soul consciousness, in other words, the awareness of being the soul, then those roles no longer form my identity. Those roles, I'm no longer dependent on those roles. And those roles no longer bring me happiness or sorrow. I just am in my original state of being. And in that original state of being, we have our original qualities, which you would have heard of many times in these talks, but whenever we repeat them, it brings back that awareness and that consciousness, because everything depends on our awareness. And so, yes, the state of peace, state of love, state of truth, state of joy or bliss, and that deep inner strength that results from all of that. This is my true inner goodness. And yes, when we look in the world today, excuse me, we can see many who are not living, thinking, speaking, acting from that state of inner goodness. I don't need to say more. But what can I do? I can take that step, that decision to begin to live in that state of inner goodness. And the more I go into that awareness of my original state of being, the awareness of the soul, then the senses no longer have an impact. So for example, and it came up in what you were just, Manoj Baba was just saying, things around me no longer have an impact on me. Even my own karmas, my own actions no longer have an impact on me. There's a state of purity, and purity is our original quality too. And so what I hear, what I see, what I smell, touch, taste, I'm no longer a slave to that. Because normally whatever stimuli come in through the senses, we naturally begin to think accordingly. So we're actually not in a state of self-mastery. But when I'm in that stage of soul consciousness, I am in a state of self-mastery. And I come back to my original state of goodness, my original state of purity. And this is the state in which I can begin to go beyond and connect to God. So let us just do a short meditation on the experience of soul consciousness, and then we'll take it further. So if you'd just like to be quiet for a moment, and you may keep your eyes open or you may close your eyes. We usually meditate with our eyes open because when we do that, the consciousness becomes more natural as we do interact through our senses, but whatever is comfortable. So let me take a few moments to go inside and to realize who I truly am. When I look in the mirror, I see the costume of my body. But now I know that that is not the real me. I am the being within. I am a being of light, point of light. And I'm seated in the center of my forehead, the control room of my body. Gradually, I bring my awareness to that point of being. And I become the light. All other awareness melts away. I'm light. I'm peace. There's a deep sense of peace and stillness inside. I feel the comfort of that state of peace. And I sit here for a while. There are no distractions. No other thoughts. I am a soul, a being of peace. Gradually, I return to the awareness of my surroundings, carrying the peace with me. Om Shanti. So I hope you could experience the peace within, the beautiful stillness. And you would have noticed, I felt it too, of course, that as I went into that consciousness, into that awareness, it's as if the atmosphere around me began to change. Now, why? Because the vibrations that I was emitting had changed. When you're thinking about different things, when you're thinking about the roles you play, when you're thinking about your to-do list, my to-do list is often very long, then there's a certain kind of vibration. It's scattered, really. But when you're in this experience, your vibration is very still, very calm, very pure, and it's of a more elevated level. Because really, bliss is an elevated experience. So we have to come to an elevated vibration. And why I'm focusing on this is because it's this vibration that enables us to tune in to God. Wouldn't God have a very elevated vibration? Very elevated, the most elevated. So at least if I come into soul consciousness, there's a chance of connecting. You know, we connect with people through vibrations, don't we? You know, you feel you get on with somebody, your vibrations match. Or you feel you don't get on with somebody, your vibrations don't match. Hopefully nobody experiences that. But with God, then my vibrations have to come to that level so that I can connect. And once that connection is made between the self and God is light, you know, this is the beautiful thing. You're not connecting with a being that is somehow so different to you. Yes, very elevated and pure, ever powerful. So different in that way. But God is light. God is a being of light. God is my parent. And so a parent, no matter how elevated the parent may be in the world, for the parent, the children are the children. And so with that elevated vibration of the self, it's easy to connect with the divine. And this is where the experience of bliss begins to come to me, because in that experience of connection, of relationship, I'm actually being pulled beyond the senses completely. And so the experience is a completely otherworldly experience. And that experience of bliss also gives me a lot of strength, a lot of power. And I can translate that into my everyday life. We'll come to that in a little while. But perhaps we can take the next step of experiencing that connection and take the step to bliss. So now let me again come into that awareness. of either soul. Point of light in the center of my forehead. I come into that state of peace and inner stillness. Such a stillness inside. My mind is like completely still lake. No ripples, no other thoughts. Just a deep state of inner peace. In this elevated consciousness, I can go beyond. Yes, I'm in my body, but it's as if in my consciousness, I'm far away. I go beyond to a dimension of total silence, a dimension of peace. I have left behind all the worries, all the fears. They cannot touch me in this dimension of silence. And I feel something pulling me like a magnet, strongly pulling me either soul. And this is the divine, the vibrations of God, the loving vibrations of God reaching out to me. And I'm aware that God is light, point of light, like myself, a light that is eternally pure. I'm drawn to the light of God. And the light of the soul touches the light of God. And I find myself in an unlimited ocean of joy, of bliss. This is truly the bliss that is beyond the senses, cannot be experienced through the senses. this experience of bliss is only with the one divine. I'm lost in the ocean of bliss. I go deeper and deeper. Until there is only bliss. The heart of the soul is full. The mind sparkles with bliss. My feelings are of pure bliss. And in this bliss, I know how much I'm loved by God. Totally and completely. There are no more words to describe the experience of bliss. I'm filled to overflowing. And I radiate that bliss to the world. And God is my companion. In this eternal state of bliss. So now, in that state of fullness, I return to the awareness of my body, my surroundings, after my incredible journey into bliss. Take a deep breath. So I hope you felt that bliss is something possible. and accessible in the right consciousness. But now I return to my body, and that bliss is still bubbling inside of me, right? It doesn't get left beyond. It's with me. It's with I, the soul. And of course, I don't want that bliss to go away. But yet I have to be here, real, in this world. And so what bliss does, that experience for bliss, is being beyond. In the world, I need to be accurate. I can't be beyond all the time. And so the bliss stays with me as an inner steadiness, an inner power, an inner knowing. I know what's possible. I've experienced it. And at any time, I can return to it because God is my companion. And after such experiences, as I move through life, then do my work, interact, the effect that I feel, and maybe others too, is of incredible lightness. I feel very light. Things seem easy. There's a lot of clarity of mind. And it's as if things unfold in front of you. When you've had that experience of bliss, then it seems a bit like magic. Things that perhaps would take you an hour, you can do in half the time. Because inside you're in a rarefied feeling. It's not a heavy feeling, it's a pure feeling. And so yes, then your wisdom can come through. And it's possible to use our wisdom in every step of life. And of course, we will meet challenges along the way. And so sometimes when we meet those challenges, when something has impacted us, something someone said, a situation that we've been in, something we've been through, it has an impact on the soul. And then when we try to go back to that state of bliss, it's a longer journey to get there because we can't still the mind so quickly. And so it's important to keep the awareness of my real identity, no matter what I'm doing. It's important to keep the state of soul consciousness, no matter what I'm doing, so that I have the protection of the light of that consciousness, so that negativity cannot impact or impinge on me. And it came up, I think, in the poem or maybe in the talk, that if there's that experience of bliss, then there's you're much less likely to be in a state of fear about things. Today I was just joined the end of a workshop and it was about Shakti power, the power of the feminine. And in fact, there was a talk yesterday about that. And, you know, people saying how they've come into their power. Maybe they used to be very shy, then they've now gained that power. And I know for myself, I had to overcome shyness in speaking to people and being with people. And then when you first start speaking to people like on Zoom, like this, who you can't see, it's another level that you have to overcome. But that experience of bliss gives us the possibility. It tells us it's okay. You can do it. It is possible. And I know I've overcome lots of fears through this because I've come back to that anchor of who I am and who I belong to. And I felt I do feel God's companionship, even as I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing in an ordinary way. Well, nothing's ordinary when you have God as your companion. And many people feel very protected by God's love when they've experienced that depth of bliss. And in fact, we were sharing some stories about that the other day in the class. And, you know, one of the things was, one story was of somebody who was standing alone at a bus stop and two boys, you know, coming past and obviously didn't have good intentions. And one said to the other, well, we would have mugged him if he wasn't alone. I mean, if he wasn't, sorry, we would have mugged him if he was alone. So even though he was alone, through God's protection, they saw somebody else with him. Not amazing. But I will tell you another very funny story of how our wisdom comes through. Again, somebody, a sister who was walking quite late at night for some reason somewhere, and somebody came up to her, and again, not good intentions. And he said to her, "Are you not scared of me?" And she wasn't scared because she'd had that experience of bliss. And through her wisdom, she found the right thing to say to him. So he's saying to her, "Are you not scared of me?" And she says, "Well, I would have been scared if I was alive." So he ran off because, of course, he thought she was a ghost. You know, when we've had that blissful experience, we're able to move through life in a different way, but also when challenges come, when fears come, when we feel we've come down from that stage, we know that we can sit, come back to soul consciousness, and it's important at that time to take time out. Sometimes when you feel you've come down from that stage that you want to be in, that stage of dignity, that stage of love, you feel bad about yourself and you begin to punish yourself. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? At that moment, it's so important to be kind to yourself and remind yourself, what is the kindest thing I can do? It's to take time out, get into that stage of soul consciousness, reconnect with God, and experience the state of bliss, which is my right, because I'm God's child. And then the perspective will change and you'll feel good about yourself again. So it's something that we can enjoy anytime, and we want to continue to enjoy. But now we know the method. Soul consciousness, my original state, going beyond and experiencing the bliss, the joy that's beyond senses. And maybe I'll just stop in case there are any questions anyone may have. And just looking at the chat, but they're not really questions, they're comments. Are there any questions at all? And then we'll close again with a meditation.
Yeah. So probably all of them are experiencing the blissful stage which you have set us into. So there are no questions. Yeah.
Yes,
But
it is a stage beyond questions. It's quite right. Yes, it is.
But there's this one question which came out in the workshop actually, that when someone sits and I mean you're giving us a commentary, everything is fine, no chaos in the world outside for the last 1 hour. But when I'm in a chaotic situation, how do I maintain this constant bliss? Is it easy? It isn't,
Well,
I presume.
yeah, no, it's not easy. As I said, you're not going to maintain the bliss. The bliss is really for when you're in the stage beyond. But you can maintain the joy, you can maintain the peace, you can maintain the love. And, you know, I often get moved by situations, I have to admit. I don't like to see when other people are suffering. And at that time, I remind myself, well, what's the, you know, you have to talk to yourself. This art of self-talk is really good. It has to be good self-talk, not the self-talk that makes you feel more weak. But I talk to myself and I remind myself, so what is the most productive thing I can do now? I'm seeing this. I feel these feelings coming up in me. It's an injustice, it's not right, sorrow, whatever. I say, what's the best thing I can do? I remind myself, if I allow those feelings to increase, I'm putting them out into the atmosphere. If I put them out into the atmosphere, then it's going to make everybody feel worse. Because when you put negativity out into the atmosphere, it connects with the negativity in others and it multiplies it. When you put positivity into the atmosphere, it connects with the positivity of others and multiplies that. So it's a choice there and then. And so I remind myself, what's the best thing I can do? At least stay in that state of calm, in a contentment, in a state of dignity, and put out some good vibrations. And then I'll be able to see a bigger picture. I'll be able to have greater understanding. And something that I've come to understand now a lot more, and a lot of research has been done into this, is that the soul is carrying so much from the past. And souls are carrying a lot of trauma, maybe from childhood or whenever, because of things that have happened to them. And so when I remind myself of that, it gives me some understanding. You know, there's a saying, hurt people hurt people. And so I understand that there's something in them that is causing them sorrow, that is causing them to be negative about themselves. And so then my feelings tend to shift from anger or, you know, why are they doing that, questioning, irritation, to feelings of compassion. Let me help. What can I do to help that soul? There is something that they need. And so through my state of dignity, I can see a little bit more broadly than just, you know, the situation right now here in this minute or these 2 minutes that it may take for that situation to occur. So yes, we're not going to stay blissful throughout, but we can maintain those very, very pure feelings. And then when we want to go back to that state of bliss in meditation, it's not difficult. But that's
Fantastic. Yeah, so thank you so much for clarifying that we need to take care of our state of the mind. And it doesn't mean it will be always bliss, but there are many other values as well, or virtues. Okay, so thank you once again, and I would now request our seniors with us. Our first important Vihasa giant is Dr. Ashok Mehta with us. So I would request Dr. Mehta to propose the vote of thanks, followed by that Sister Claudia. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Maureen Ben. It's been a beautiful experience. As a matter of fact, I was trying to go back to many of my past experiences, and I realized more and more that that experience often came in the nature, when you are on the seaside or you're on a mountaintop or somewhere, you know, which is, the nature is with you. And that's the time when you automatically lapse into that beautiful experience of bliss. But I think every time we went to meet Baba, at that time when you go to the stage in front of him, that moment was also always, you know, you want to save it for all the time. I think we are very fortunate to have innumerable experiences with Baba. I think you have lived with Dadi Janki. I think the moments with her, you remember them as blissful moments. She was a real companion of God, and you were with a companion. You were companion to the companion. So I think, thank you very much, Maureen Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you for being there.
So yeah, you have to unmute.
You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shanti, thank you for being with us. And it's quite nice when you are talking about to have the bliss, we need to have self-mastery. And then for that self-mastery, we can go into soul consciousness. And then we can have the companion of God for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And that is going to help us later on when we face something. So that is going to make us master of our sense. So we can stop the mouth, we can stop the thought, we can do anything because we know how to master the self. Thank you. It was very nice to see how you put the bliss in a very way that we can use all the time. We cannot think, oh, we cannot do it. No, it is possible. So thank you very much for showing us that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Maureen, I will remember always that beautiful example of being ghost. I think that was wonderful.
And wasn't that amazing? It's a true story. It's true.
Okay, so thank you so much for your blissful vote of thanks, both of you, as well. So I'll just quickly share the screen and do a few announcements before we go into another meditative experience with Sister Maureen. So as all of you know, since the past 3 weeks now, we have been revising what we call the Murlis, that is the spiritual versions taught by the Almighty Authority at Brahma Kumari. So we have been doing that since the past 3 weeks. We did the last one 21st today. And if you want to deepen your experience, we always end the month, the last Sunday of the month, with the silence retreat on the same. So this time again it's on Bliss, it's just in the next 12 hours. So for India it's tomorrow morning. For the West Coast it's 8 p.m. And I would request all the newcomers as well to join and see whether you all can really experience that value more when you go into the depth of silence. We all know that we are approaching Raksha Bandhan, the sacred month of August, where all of us in India at Brahma Kumaris particularly are very fond of this festival. It is a beautiful bondage of lot of care and concern for each other. So let's begin that with Sister Jayanti, all the way again from UK, 6th August. We call in Hindi Sambhal Karna, which is about care or concern. And so we'll be sending you the invitation soon. Followed by that, the workshop, we have again another elegant speaker, Sister Jenna, all the way from Washington, D.C. That will be following the week after, that is 13th August. So please tune into these. We'll be sending you the invitations, and if you feel motivated, you can please share your emails and WhatsApp numbers with us if you still haven't done so for the new participants. And as continuing with our series on power talks, so we have the 7th power and the 8th left before we celebrate the Dashera festival. So in that, the 7th one is power to face, and it is with Sister Dr. Savita Didi from Mount Abu. It will be on one day before India Independence Day, Sunday 14th August. Again, we'll send reminders later to y'all. And finally, this is our elegant calendar shared by Sister Kosha, who's one of our Vihasa facilitators as well. So we'll keep you posted. The next value is on selflessness, but I don't want to really overboard you with many speakers. So we'll just we share the calendars with you in the emails as well, which we have been doing regularly. So I will stop sharing here, and yeah, last slide is about you can keep in touch with our new emails, valuesforlifeseries@gmail.com. We have updated this, so please email us on this, and we'll be sending you emails from this now. And our website is vihasa.in, and as well as Vancouver website and emails are mentioned here in front of you. And if you can please note down that whatever values workshops we do here, you can find them on this link, omshanti.tk/workshop. So we have done 44 so far. All of them are available on this. Feel free to see them, and also in the playlist form, English /playlist/English. So I'll just stop sharing here, and let me just now again ask Sister Maureen to take you all more in the blissful stage further. Over to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Always lovely to be with you all. Okay, so let us again take that journey, that beautiful journey that becomes more and more natural for us. Become aware, I, the soul, the light in the center of the forehead. As I focus on the light, I become more and more soul conscious, and I feel light. I feel free. And in this state of light, in this state of peace, I take my consciousness beyond to that dimension of silence. I fly far away to that world of silence, where I connect with the divine, and I enter that ocean of bliss. Bliss caresses the soul. Reminds me of how elevated a being I am. I'm God's child. I am a blissful child of the ocean of bliss. Even a few minutes in that state of bliss feels like an eternity. Such an elevated vibration that transforms the soul. That purifies the soul. That enlightens the soul. So steeped in bliss. I'm able to shower God's bliss on the world. To help refresh our world. to bring peace, to bring healing. Now I know who I am, who I belong to, and what it is I have to do. And I return to my surroundings, my senses, as the master, as the sovereign, with the dignity of the experience of bliss. Om Shanti. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Sister Maureen. And before we would just take a few more minutes. People are wanting to have a blissful photograph with all of you, and particularly with you. So Anu, sister, over to you for the last few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, please switch on your video. Thank you so much, Sister Maureen. Such beautiful experiences.
Thank you.
Okay, one more page. Anybody wants to be with the picture with Sister Maureen? Please switch on your video. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you once again. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.